Hey guys, the StrongBoys19 here. So this is going to be my update video on what should have been the update for the end of last month. But you know what I had said from the last video, which I apologize for, about the break that I had to do and choose, but it is what it is. So I haven't bought a lot of stuff for this update, but most of them, well, the stuff that I'm going to show you are records based. Now, most of them I've bought from the latest record fair in Bromsgrove, and about that money rip-off incident, I managed to get the money back. But weeks before I did that, I went on eBay and bought half of those records from different eBay sellers, and they were Kraftwerk's Electric Cafe and Visions of the Emerald Beyond from the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and they all played excellent. So yeah, I managed to get the money back from my latest visit to the record fair. First one is George Harrison's Electronic Sound. Now this album has been highly regarded as one of his worst and not to many people's favourites. I think this is one of his best albums. This is the 1977 reissue, a Japanese pressing, and what this really is just pretty much a lot of noodles and improvisations from George's playing around with the keyboards and synthesizers, and I really like that type of improvisation from George, as with me being a fan of electronic music and, you know, just some improvisational, robotic, sometimes uncompromising sounds. I think this is a brilliant album. This is on the Zapple Records, which was a record label that the Beatles founded. Next one is a record from one of my favourite bands of all time, Soft Machine. Soft Machine 6. Besides the really unusual cover art, it looks pretty awful. I think this album is really good, and this is a later pressing. The first half is a live album, and without Robert Wyatt, I think the band are still playing some amazing, brilliant material. A lot of improvisational solos to the musicianship that is awesome. And I think the studio album side can be like repetitive, but I don't really think about it because it just drew me in after a few spins. A very underappreciated album in Soft Machine's discography. I do love Soft Machine. Volume 2 and 3rd are one of my favourite albums of all time. I would love to get their first album and also Bundles, which is one of my high favourites, with the legend Alan Holdsworth. So I need to buy some more of their albums. The next album is a band named Hawkwind, and if I pronounce this correctly, Do Re Mi Fa Sol Latido. I might have mispronounced that. I would apologise if I did. What really annoys me, though, is that most of the jumps are on the first track, which is on a Brainstorm. So, thankfully, the rest of the songs play fine. But I think I might have to re-buy this on vinyl again. So that's a pain in the ass. But it is on the United Artists label, which is one of my favourite record labels of all time. And, you know, Hawkwind are just a brilliant band. I think this is a brilliant album. Next album is another electronic-based record. It is Oxygen by Jean-Michel Jarre. This album is awesome. Beautiful production, and I love the keyboards and synthesizer sounds on this record. And I think that this is definitely a big recommendation for anyone that wants to get into this sort of progressive electronic vibe, you know, like a Tangerine Dream record. This is not an original, but this was released on the Polydor label. Another album that I absolutely do regard as one of my favourite albums of all time, Brian Eno, Another Green World. And besides the damage of the spine, this album is just so great in itself. I just love everything about it. Eno did not have anything planned in the studio whilst making this, and to come up with something this cleverly done and unique, outstanding. Love this album. Personally, my second favourite Eno album, Music for Airports, is my favourite. This is the Island Records pressing, so I'm pleased to have this for my Eno collection. King Crimson's Beats, and this is on the EG label. This is one of my favourites, and I love the simplicity of the cover. Very minimal, and for some reason it just always reminds me of a Windows 95 or Windows 98 background. The production is glorious. I have heard of Three of a Perfect Pair, which I did like, but I prefer Beats. I still need to get Discipline to complete their new wave trilogy, progressive pop new wave side of their career. So definitely seek this one out. This is another amazing Crimson album. The last two I have bought from eBay. These are two Music on Vinyl remasters from one of my favourite bands of all time, who are reuniting, and I'm very happy to say that. That is Mr. Bungle. This is their second album, Disco Volante, and this album is just crazy. It is, you know, all over the place, but the way that Mr. Bungle would make something like very tight and wild, insanity, so great. And I got their last album, California. For some Bungle fans, they would say that this is their best album, but for me, my favourite is always their self-titled debut album, and that album really grew onto me heavily when I was diving into the uncompromising, over-the-top, but stylistic approaches to music. The remaster is beautiful, and everything just sounds fresh and big. Excellent stuff. So that is my update video for you guys, and the next video is going to be on my album review to Iron Maiden's Virtual 11. So I'll keep you guys posted for that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you all posted for more videos in the near future.